The countdown begins. 3, 2, 1. A rocket tears through the atmosphere at over 3,000 kilometers per hour, leaving a trail of fire and smoke that stretches across the sky like a scar. Inside the capsule, 6 passengers grip their seats. Their hearts are hammering. Their faces are pressed back by G-forces most humans will never feel. And in less than 4 minutes, they're there, floating weightless above the curve of the Earth, staring down at continents the size of postage stamps, oceans that look like puddles of blue ink. The whole experience lasts roughly 5 minutes, and every single person on that rocket paid at least $500,000 for it. No hotel, no beach, no private chef. Just 5 minutes of silence, weightlessness, and a view that fewer than 700 humans in all of history have ever witnessed. Welcome to space tourism, the most expensive, most absurd and most fiercely sought-after status symbol the ultra-wealthy have ever invented. The new frontier of wealth for decades. The mega yacht was the ultimate measure of billionaire excess. A 100-meter floating palace, complete with submarines, helipads and grand pianos. The kind of machine that costs 50 million euros just to buy and another 10 million a year to operate. The kind of toy that made ordinary luxury look embarrassing. But something shifted. In the last 5 years, a new conversation has quietly taken over in the world's most exclusive circles. Forget the Caribbean. Forget Monaco. The new destination is 400,000 feet above all of it. Space tourism is no longer science fiction. It is a fully operational, rapidly expanding industry. And it is attracting exactly the kind of clientele who once raced each other to build the longest yacht. The players are already well known. Blue Origin, founded by Amazon's Jeff Bezos, launched its first crewed commercial flight in 2021. Virgin Galactic, the brainchild of Richard Branson, has been selling tickets for years and completed its first fully commercial spaceflight in 2023. SpaceX has taken it even further, sending private passengers on multi-day orbital missions that circle the entire Earth. The price of entry? It starts at around $450,000 for a suborbital hop with Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic. For an orbital SpaceX mission, where you actually circle the planet, estimates range from $50 to $80 million per seat, and demand is not slowing down. What 5 minutes actually feels like here is what you get for $500,000. You board a capsule roughly the size of a large SUV. You sit alongside 5 other passengers, most of them strangers who share only one thing in common with you, a willingness to spend what many families earn in a decade on a single trip. The rocket ignites beneath you. For the first 2 to 3 minutes, you are pressed into your seat by forces twice the weight of gravity. Then silence, the engines cut, the harness releases, and you float. Every person who has done it describes the same thing. An almost violent shift in perspective. Looking down at the Earth, at its thin blue atmospheric halo, at the absolute blackness of space beyond it, and suddenly understanding, in a way that no photograph or documentary can convey, just how small and fragile the planet actually is. Astronauts call it the overview effect. Scientists who study it say it produces measurable changes in the way people think about their lives, their priorities, and their place in the universe. It lasts approximately 5 minutes. Then the capsule descends, parachutes deploy, and you land in the desert. And just like that, you are one of the very few hundred civilians in human history who can say they have been to space. If you find this world as fascinating as we do, subscribe now. We cover the stories of extreme wealth that most channels never go near. The business behind the dream. What makes space tourism so extraordinary as a business is not simply the product. It is the psychology behind who buys it and why. The ultra-wealthy are not spending $500,000 because they need to go to space. They are spending it for the same reason someone pays 70 million euros for a sailing yacht or 800,000 euros for a single week's rental of a mega yacht in Greenland. It is about access to something virtually no one else can have. It is about belonging to a category so exclusive that the membership itself is the prize. Blue Origin has already flown customers including a 90-year-old woman, Star Trek's William Shatner, who became the oldest person ever to reach space. Virgin Galactic sold out its earliest flights within weeks of announcing ticket availability. SpaceX's Inspiration mission in 2021, the first all-civilian orbital spaceflight in history, was fully privately funded by entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, who then gave 3 of the 4 seats away to civilians selected through a competition and charity campaign. The symbolism was unmistakable. Space, once the exclusive domain of government-trained astronauts who spent years preparing for a single mission, was now purchasable, accessible, a luxury product. And once something becomes a luxury product, billionaires compete for the most extreme version of it. The race to go higher. Jeff Bezos rode his own rocket. Richard Branson went up 9 days before Bezos, in what many interpreted as a deliberate act of competitive positioning. Elon Musk, despite building the most powerful rockets on Earth through SpaceX, has yet to fly himself, though he has announced plans to go to the moon. The pattern is familiar to anyone who has studied how extreme wealth expresses itself. Just as naval architects in Monaco describe a generation of ship owners racing to build longer, more outrageous yachts, boats that grew from 50 meters to 180 meters in less than 2 decades, the Billionaire space race is escalating on a similar trajectory. Suborbital flights were the beginning. Orbital missions came next. Now the targets are a private space station, lunar tourism, and eventually Mars. SpaceX is already selling seats on a lunar flyby mission called Dear Moon, which would carry a private group of 8 passengers around the moon for a journey that would take roughly 6 days. The price has not been publicly disclosed, but industry estimates run into the hundreds of millions of dollars per seat. The designer Espen Waino, one of the world's most sought-after naval architects, once described the mega yacht world as a pyramid. The higher you go, the fewer people there are, and the more they all know each other. Space tourism is building an even narrower pyramid, and the people already at the top are buying their way to the next level before it is even fully constructed. Why Earth is no longer enough there is a deeper truth underneath all of this that goes beyond wealth signaling and competitive status games. For a certain tier of billionaire, terrestrial luxury has simply been exhausted. The private islands have been bought. The mega yachts have been built and sold and replaced with bigger ones. The ski chalets, the Greenland expeditions, the submarine dives to the Titanic wreck. These things still exist, still happen, still cost extraordinary sums of money. But they are no longer new. They are no longer the frontier. Space is the frontier. It is the only place left on Earth, or rather off it, where money can genuinely buy something that almost no one else has experienced. Something that still carries genuine risk, genuine awe, genuine novelty. Something where the waiting list still matters, where the experience still earns a kind of respect that even the most lavish terrestrial extravagance cannot replicate. One Blue Origin passenger described coming back to the landing site and struggling to explain to people what had just happened. Not the mechanics of it, not the price of it, but the feeling of it, that 5 minutes of weightlessness and perspective that no yacht, no chalet, no private island, and no amount of money spent on Earth can manufacture. And that, more than anything else, is why billionaires are paying $500,000 for 5 minutes. Because for the first time in a very long time, they found something their money could barely buy. The last frontier Earth is running out of exclusivity for the ultra-wealthy. The mega yacht was the symbol of one era. Space tourism is becoming the symbol of the next. And as launch costs fall, as the technology matures, as more seats become available, the billionaires already at the top of this new hierarchy will push further. Further from the planet, further from ordinary experience, further from anything the rest of us can reach. The countdown, it seems, is always running. Subscribe if you want to keep following the stories of extreme wealth, extreme ambition, and the industries being built for the 1%, because this world is only getting more extraordinary. It is only getting more extraordinary.